to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All righty, good to have you with us. Big Thursday night edition back at our studios in Columbia. The plumber is here, Josh Cohen, taking your phone calls, turning the dials. Chris Bergen is here from the Berge Palace in Sardis. And we got you there on the phones or on your screens, watching your screens, whatever you're doing to get Sports Talk. Great to have you. Phone number 888-898-2525. Our text line number is 803-900-4847. You can also send us messages from Facebook and YouTube. I have been negligent in not paying attention to those this week. When I travel, sometimes I get out of whack. I get a little bit out of whack. But I'm back in Columbia despite the efforts of many on the interstate to take me out. I'm telling you, there were some let's see, who is it who's the most hated guy in NASCAR right now that causes all the wrecks?
Well, it's either Carson Hocevar or it's actually the guy we chatted with yesterday over at Darlington Raceway in Ross Chastain.
Or it could be the woman who was crashing every lap last week.
Catherine Legg.
Yeah. I mean, I had people trying to take me out on 75, 285, 20, but I would not be deterred. We are here. Glad to be here after our quick trip to Nashville. And that's usually what it is. It's a quick trip to Nashville. Catch up on everything. You know, I was just thinking, Bergie, it's so pretty out there today. Weather in Columbia, 75 degrees. Kind of, I call this NIT weather this time of year. Because usually you're hosting an NIT game and it's beautiful outside and you're stuck inside with about 1,000 people watching a. And I bring this up.
That's a great point.
I bring this up. Why do I bring this up at this particular time? We shouldn't be thinking about the NIT. Why am I bringing this up?
Well, actually, David Cloninger in the Post and Courier came out with a story earlier today that should Texas defeat Texas A&M, and they're down 1 in the final minutes of their game in Nashville right now, there is a pathway for the Gamecocks to get into the National Invitation Tournament. Because you might remember...
Let me change the name of that tournament. From National Invitation Tournament to the National Bloatation Tournament. Go ahead.
Because if you may remember the last couple of years, the NIT actually, to its credit, and despite the efforts of the NCAA, to its credit, the NIT top to bottom probably had a better field overall than the NCAA did, because you don't get the one-bid league teams that maybe a Grambling, for instance, is running through the SWAC with a 12-win season right now. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. So they could possibly get in. Last year's NIT bracket only had one team with a below 500 record, and that was Xavier, and they got taken out in the first round by Georgia. But the problem was Indiana State and Seton Hall played for the championship. So, of course, the NCAA, and it's beholden to the almighty dollar, looked and saw that the TV revenue was not very good. The TV ratings were terrible for the NIT, so they decided they had to change it. So they announced a new qualification procedure for this year's event, which included bids going to 16 exempt teams. And the exempt teams will include the top 2 teams not selected to the NCAA tournament from both the ACC and the Southeastern Conference. So why, again, do we bring this up today? As David pointed out in his story, for the most part, 13 teams from the SEC are probably already locked into bids for the NCAA tournament. The 14th team is playing right now and trailing by a point to Texas A&M. Should Texas win and get into the field, that would leave 2 teams that don't go to the NCAA.
That would leave 2 teams in the
tournament
SEC
for those exempt bids.
Oh, I just jumped in for you, Bergie, because you're wanging on us. You might want to reconnect. I apologize, but you've dropped in and out, so might want to quickly reconnect. But I'll finish your comment because all I know is what you've told me. I haven't had a chance to read the story as I was driving today, but the bottom line is the top 2 teams left in the SEC who are not picked for the NCAA tournament go to this newly manufactured joke of a tournament, NIT. And it's like he pointed out, it's because the television networks were not happy with the teams that were in there playing in the finals. I think in Las Vegas is where they have it now. You don't even get to play in Madison Square Garden anymore. They moved it to Las Vegas. And so they said, okay, we can't have mid-major teams or teams from lesser conferences who had really good years and maybe deserved because of their performances, but maybe they were really good teams, but they were from one-bid leagues and they didn't win their conference tournament, and thus they're left at home for the NCAA tournament. But they would be rewarded by going to the NIT. And
Exactly.
What changed this, of course, is when the NCAA took over the NIT, they put in a provision that if you were from a one-bid league and you won the regular season title, you were guaranteed a spot in the NIT. Even if you did not win your tournament and were going to be left out, you were guaranteed a spot. But and for those teams, like a Furman or a Wofford, or those are two good examples. That was really obviously disappointing not to make the big dance, but to have a spot guaranteed in the NIT was big for those programs. They liked that. They appreciated that. That was a goal for them. Okay, if we don't make the NCAA, we win our league, we're going to go to the NIT, which ain't half bad for us. Now ESPN, of course, has taken over the NIT, and all they simply care about, they don't give a damn about you, the athlete, or the school. All they care about is who's watching on television, ratings, and of course they can address their advertising dollars in such a fashion. That's all they care about. So screw you mid-majors who had great years, but you stumbled in your tournament. Screw you. You're staying home because you don't draw television viewers, but we'll take a team that's 5 games, 6 games under 500 from one of the major conferences, because certainly somebody wants to watch South Carolina play NC State. Somebody wants to watch that game in the NIT, right? I can't wait to watch that matchup when it's pieced together. And that will be the matchup, I'm sure, something like that. South Carolina and NC, if this were to happen. And I'm not picking on the Gamecocks. They should turn it down. They should just say, are you kidding me? And if you're CMB, are you going to play in this? If you're thinking about going pro, I mean, what's the point? What is the point? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Good to have you back.
Yes, thank you, and I apologize for that. But yeah, no, and I think I'll take the other side of the coin. If they could get Colin Murray Boyles, and assuming that Texas does go to the NCAA tournament, we may find out in the next 10 seconds whether that's a possibility. If they can get Colin Murray Boyles, the sad part of this is, Phil, that's a 12-20 team that, as we pointed out earlier in the week, was 1-8 in games decided by 5 points or less. They could actually go win this thing. That's how ridiculous the whole thing is. But this is the equivalent to me. It's not a 5-7 football team getting into a bowl game. Mm-hmm. It's a 3-9 team getting into a bowl game. It's absurd. And again, it's the NCAA more concerned about the wallet than the good of the game. And the good of the game is not having LSU and South Carolina playing in a postseason. Mm. There should be some sort of reward for a good regular season. Or a great regular season, not just because you happen to play in a league that gets these ridiculous bids into the tournament. It wouldn't be NC State, though, by the way, because keep in mind the ACC is probably only sending about 4 teams to the NCAA tournament. So it would be the next 2 teams, whomever that is, from the ACC. So it'd actually be a mid-level ACC team against presumably the worst team in the SEC.
Please, Texas, lose. Have
They're
lost?
going to overtime.
Oh,
they're going to overtime.
So the nightmare is still alive, is what you're telling me. The nightmare is still alive. Unbelievable. 73-73 Texas and Texas A&M. How about Texas? I mean, they're a team that won all of 6 games in the SEC this year. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I mean, they're 18-14, so only 2 of their losses were outside the league. Every team if I'm right about this, I think I went through it last night. Every team in the SEC except South Carolina, which had 3, but every other team in the SEC had no more than 2 losses outside the league. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that just tells you how strong the SEC was. But my goodness, I think you and I are of the same mind here. You shouldn't be rewarded for losses.
No.
And I mean, if you've lost twice as many games as you've won in your league, you're going to be rewarded simply because you won a couple of games in your league tournament. If they win this game, they will have won 2 games in the league tournament. You're going to get in. I understand respect for the SEC, but they're not the NBA. I mean, they're very good. They're the best league in college basketball this year, but Greg Sankey and company, they've just done a great job of convincing everybody that it's the SEC, and I guess maybe the Big Ten, their people have done as well, but it's those 2 leagues and everybody else, they're the junior varsity. They're the junior varsity. That's the way it looks, the college landscape today. All right. Interesting. We'll talk more about that. They're in overtime now, 74-73 A&M. Arkansas and Ole Miss. Ole Miss won 83-80. I tell you what, though, the SEC tournament, first of all, not big crowds yesterday for day one. The people there in Nashville and the SEC fans, they are geared for this. They are geared for tomorrow. I can't imagine.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
We got to check and see what a ticket on StubHub for a quarterfinal round game tomorrow in Nashville will be. You know, that's got to be sky high. Now, of course, the big news comes out of Charlotte, and Smitty is there. He'll be joining us about 7:30. Clemson doesn't play till probably about 9:45 tonight. North Carolina beat Wake Forest 68-59. That was the second game of the day. But the big story was Duke got a real battle from Georgia Tech before winning 78-70. But 2 of their starters went out with injuries, and that includes, of course, Flagg, the player of the year in the ACC, who went down with a really severe looking ankle injury that kept him out of the rest of the game once he went down. John Shire said afterwards that he does not expect Flagg to be able to play tomorrow and maybe not for the rest of the tournament. X-rays were negative, so it appears to be just a really bad sprain. You said you saw it, and he really came down awkwardly on his foot?
Best way I can describe it, picture him jumping up in the air in the middle of the lane after a rebound, and he's a couple of feet off the ground, and when he comes back down, he lands on the side of his foot. Not on the bottom, on the sole of his feet. He landed on his ankle bone, basically, and it was gruesome. They took him off on a wheelchair, probably just to make it a little bit easier. I don't know how available crutches are, traveling and at the tournament. So the wheelchair, I think, probably made it look a lot worse than it actually was. It was probably just the easiest way to get him back to the locker room so he could get those x-rays taken. But, Phil, if he doesn't play, I think this shifts the entire power of the tournament over to the 2-3 side now. Because I just don't see North Carolina as well as they've been playing. They would have to win 4 games in 4 days to win the the ACC championship. And of course, NC State did 5-5 or something last year to get in there. So I mean, it can be done. But I think now you look at Louisville and Clemson. If Cooper Flagg can't play, I think Louisville, the winner of the Louisville Clemson game, assuming the seeds hold, is going to win the ACC.
Well, if you're a Clemson fan, of course you got to take care of business tonight. SMU,
sure,
you beat them out there late in the season, but you can't take anything for granted. That's a team with a lot of scoring balance, 5 guys in double figures in their starting lineup. You got to play heads up, smart basketball. You can't think about your lousy history in the ACC tournament. You got to think about today's Clemson team, which is a very, very good team, and you got to play like it with a lot of confidence. We'll get more on the Tigers from Smitty when he joins us about 7:30. He'll be joining us from the arena there in Charlotte. So, but yeah, that really with him out in particular, that really changes the dynamics, I would say. So Duke will play North Carolina tomorrow for a 3rd time. This win probably seals North Carolina 22-12. Probably seals them into the NCAA tournament, I would think. They have been one of the hottest teams in the country over the last month, except for playing Duke. They have 2 losses to Duke. Everything else they have handled. So you got to give them credit. Got to give them credit for recovering from that massive loss to Duke and getting it back together and being able to make a strong run here down the stretch. We should also mention, too, from Duke, not only was Cooper Flagg injured, but Malik Brown was also injured. He'd been dealing with a shoulder injury, so he re-injured his shoulder. So that's 2 of Duke's starters on the sideline right now due to injuries. We'll see what kind of team they trot out there. North Carolina might be just catching Duke at the right time. Then again, they were losing by double digits to Tech when these guys went out, and the guys that came in played really well, and they called up and they put them away. That's how deep Duke is. That's deep Dookie. They have deep Dookie there.
And I can't remember, but they've got some ridiculous record this year when they are trailing by 10 points or more in a game.
Yeah.
They've had several comebacks just like that this season. So it was not a surprise to see them come back. And I think North Carolina is definitely in the field now. That's a good win over Wake Forest. The only thing that's been holding them back is their quad 1 games. I think I saw they were 1-11. Otherwise, quad 2, 3, and 4, they've got a stellar record. And a solid win today against Wake Forest. I think that probably gets them in. Clearly, they can win the next 2 games and take that out of the committee's hands, which is what you want to do. But, yeah, I think they're probably in getting to the semifinals of the ACC. And, of course, the name on that chest is going to help them out a lot, too.
Yeah, I'd say Georgia Tech in the second half stepped into some deep Dookie there.
Certainly.
78-74, Texas A&M. Now leading Texas in overtime. ACC got Stanford, Louisville coming up first game tonight, then Clemson, SMU, SEC, Mississippi State, and Missouri coming up. Mississippi State got a big win. Oklahoma yesterday, Oklahoma, Kentucky. Oklahoma beat Georgia last night. And so they're 20-12 and 6-12. So, I mean, they're gonna get into the tournament with a 6-12 league record, and they're going to play Kentucky tonight. Place will be packed with Kentucky fans for sure. And let's see, I think that's it as far as the SEC and ACC. Let me say this too: South Carolina State won last night in the MEAC quarterfinals, and they don't play tonight. They play the semifinals tomorrow night. So we'll be up in Norfolk. So who are they playing? I think they're playing I got to go back and double check. But they did win last night, and they'll be playing in the semifinals tomorrow night. Go ahead.
Wanted to go back to the South Carolina NIT conversation for a moment. It may be a moot point here in the next couple of minutes. But assuming they got in, they would actually also host the first round. How many Carolina fans do you think would show up?
Whoa. They're going to host the first round?
According to the NCAA, all the teams receiving an exempt bid, which they would be, are guaranteed the opportunity to host a first-round game.
God.
Aren't you looking forward to going over there and covering the NIT with a 12-20
I'm
South
boycotting.
Carolina team?
I am issuing and ordering a boycott. No, I'm serious. But they also have to consider, and it starts next week, they've got a women's tournament to get ready for.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how they can handle both in that short of time because I know that the NCAA requires the arena to be available a certain number of days ahead of the women's tournament. Can you swing both of them? But we're boycotting.
Maybe they can go play at Columbia College.
Yeah, they can play at the Township Auditorium.
At Benedict. Maybe Benedict will let them come over and play the game.
And I hope the fans will. Here it is, fans. Here's your chance. I know you love your Gamecocks. If this were to come to pass, I know you love your Gamecocks, but you got to make a statement with your wallets.
Yeah.
And with your butts. Keep your butts and your wallets home. Who wants to go watch that crap? That means nothing. Nothing. And it's just made for television. Put your foot down. Be back in a moment.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist.
I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount, Contributions are tax-deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network, and I just read some stunning news. I'm just catching up because I've been driving all day and listening to basketball. John Feinstein passed away.
Yeah.
Oh,
sad.
my gosh. I am stunned.
68, I believe.
69.
69, yeah.
Do
Just
we know
sad.
what happened?
I don't.
Wow. One of the great, seriously, one of the great reporters, one of the great writers of our time. Man, a good walk spoiled, a season on the brink. Many
Can you
other
imagine what it
things.
took for him to be able to get embedded with Bobby Knight's team at Indiana to write that book?
Unbelievable.
How difficult a challenge that was, considering who you were dealing with. And you know, Bobby Knight had no interest in that book being published. But to Indiana's credit, they brought him on board for, I think, an entire season, if I'm not mistaken. And he just followed them, and it was amazing.
I am brokenhearted over this news.
Yeah, it's sad, no doubt.
I did not know him at all, but I admired him, just admired him. Gosh, that's stunning news. We're going to get to your phone calls after the break, so those of you on hold, hang in there. Got a few other notes here. This is kind of interesting. Jamie Shaw from On3 asked an ACC coach what it will cost to build a team in the upcoming Porter cycle. Quote, it'll be about $6 million to be a top 25 team. Okay, there you
Wow.
go. $6 million to be a top 25 team. Drake coach Ben McCollum, according to Jeff Goodman, has emerged as one of the top candidates for the Indiana opening. Really impressed their AD. He's 43. Of course, people have been tossing Brad Brownell's name around with that thing as well. South Carolina's pitching rotation opened ACC play this weekend against Oklahoma. Brandon Stone coming out of the bullpen. He's going to start on Friday. 1.93 ERA in 18 2/3 innings. He'll be facing Kyson Witherspoon, a righty who's 4-0 with a 1.17. Oh, my. 40 strikeouts in 23 innings. Can you say heat?
Ooh.
Jake McCoy goes on Saturday, 1-1, 4.74 against Malachi Witherspoon, 2-0 with a 4 ERA. And then Sunday, Dylan Eskew, 0-1, a 1.69 against Cam Johnson, a lefty, 2-0, 3.93. So Kyson Witherspoon, he must be one of those special pitchers.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Only 5 walks in 23 innings, 5 walks against 40 strikeouts. How about that?
Amazing. And Matthew Becker actually pitched an inning of relief last night for the Gamecocks in their win over Georgia State. I would assume he'll be coming out of the bullpen this weekend.
Yeah, he's had 2 shaky starts. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 50 overnight. Tomorrow it's a blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high temperature of 78. For the weekend on Saturday, look for a warm day, mostly cloudy skies. The high is 82. There's a slight 20% chance of a late shower. Sunday gets ugly, heavy rain, thunderstorms to go with a high temp of 73. I'm Cal Most with your on-point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Columbia University says it has expelled or suspended some students who took over a campus building during pro-Palestinian protests last spring and had temporarily revoked the diplomas of some students who have since graduated. The death of a woman who was partially paralyzed in the Columbine High School shooting has been ruled a homicide, raising the death toll of the 1999 attack to 14. An autopsy report obtained Thursday said 43-year-old Anne-Marie Hochhalter died February 16th of sepsis, and complications from her paralysis were a significant contributing factor in her death. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 537 points. The Nasdaq dropped 345. More details at srnnews.com.
So who needs broker solar? Well, it's the homeowner or the business owner that wants to take some control of their own power bills. It's the family that decides clean solar is the path for them. Or maybe it's the church or nonprofit that wants to save some big dollars for their cause. Is it you? Maybe it's time you wake up to all broker solar can do for you. You have to let Ken and his team be your ultimate guide in what is pretty complex, this solar world. Make no mistake, solar energy is not for everyone. Despite what the scammers and door-knocking liars tell you, it is not free. It's a significant investment, but it has significant returns. From home installations to solar farms, Broker Solar can personalize your solar solution by meeting your needs and your budget. Their menu includes everything from full-scale solar on your roof or land and even battery backups for those pesky power outages that we've all endured. Visit brokersolar.com, stick it to the utility companies while also bathing in the sunny side of savings. Brokersolar.com, giving you the power instead of leaving you feeling powerless.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Imagine a home where every corner speaks volumes of care, precision, and impeccable style. At Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, we transform spaces with a splash of color and an expert touch. With fully licensed, bonded, and insured craftsmanship, we're not just doing a job, we're upholding a reputation. Whether it's painting, pressure washing, or wood repairs, we handle everything from your honey-do list to major projects. Call us today at 922-5615 and elevate your living space with Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations.
Hun, did you see the power bill? I feel like we're trying to cool the outside with these old original windows from the house.
Yeah, they are old. They let the cool air out and the hot air in, plus they're really ugly. I think it's time we finally get those new windows.
I think we need to call Redbird Windows and Doors.
Oh yeah, think of the Miller's house up the street.
I got their card when I was talking to the Millers. Here it is, Redbird Windows and Doors, 727-0561. Oh, and let's look at their website too, redbirdwindows.com.
Give me that number again, please.
727-0561.
Tune in at 6, don't miss the vibe. South Carolina's pride will lie. the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free. Join the team, follow X for more. We're taking over, that's for sure. Corinth's insight, Bergen's wit, Cohen's energy, they're the perfect fit. 2 hours of sports talk bliss. Don't miss a minute of this. Sports Talk, the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free.
We are back, Sports Talk Media Network. Don't tell me.
Texas is up 1 with 3 minutes to go in double overtime.
Wow. Boycott. I need some signs. I'm going to get some signs made up and march outside. Lucas Glover, the ageless wonder from Clemson, is your leader late in the opening round of the Players. A 6 under 66 for Lucas Glover. And he actually is tied for first, I should say, but that's good enough. J.J. Spawn and Camilo Villegas, he's on the course. Spawn and Glover are in at 66. Minwoo Lee, 67. Billy Horschel, 67. And Rory, 67. Scotty Scheffler is 69, along with another Tiger, Jacob Bridgman. Jordan Spieth is 70. And Carson Young on the course at +2. Andrew Novak is in with a 77. Justin Thomas, 78. MJ is there. He'll be joining us at 7:05. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney tonight from the post-scrimmage presser last night. It was too late for us to get it on last night. Bring you a little bit of that tonight. Also, we're definitely going to get my interview on tonight with Brandon Cisse. My God, he'll be a grandfather before we run that thing. But we're going to run that tonight, and I think that'll do it. Plus recruiting, your phone calls coming up, and more news as is happening as we stay on the edge of our seats. Will the Gamecocks be in the NIT or – now, you think that if Texas wins this game, that's a good question. That's going to get them in?
I don't know. I really don't. But it would certainly help. Clearly, I think if they don't, they're out. Yeah. And that would eliminate, I think, South Carolina's opportunity to go to the NIT. But I can't say for sure that if they win today, they'll get in. But that's what Greg Sankey's thinking. I'm surprised he hasn't told the officials, go make sure that Texas A&M cannot win this game. Yeah. Because this way we get all 16 of our teams in the postseason.
Ugh. Unbelievable. All right, let's take some phone calls and also read some text messages. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And as we go to the phones, feeling so good outside, you have to think about the beach and making plans for your perfect beach getaway. Make that quick phone call to Jimmy Smith, 843-237-4246, 843-237-4246. Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Let Jimmy find that perfect place for you along the Grand Strand for that wonderful beach vacation coming up maybe this spring or later this summer. 843-237-4246. No Mike Morgan tonight. He'll join us tomorrow night as he works us into his schedule. So to the phones we go for a few minutes, and it is TBT. Is it TBT? I thought he was tied up until Friday. Tiger Bryan. Tiger Bryan, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Man, I'm back on the grid, baby.
I thought you were staying till Friday.
No, we come home today because my wife got a little bug.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but
Yeah.
listen to me. I'm going to tell you something now. You know what I mean? You've been proud of me now. Been proud of me. I'm sitting at the bar down at the Georgetown. That ain't no cheap place. But they got robes in the bathroom. I mean, I was out of place, Corn. I promise where I was. But anyway, I go out there. I act like I ain't say nothing. I know. I see some people I thought I knew. Yeah. I heard them. This is sports talk.
No, you did not. You did not.
Yeah, I ain't there. Don't you? Yeah, my man talking about because I told her. Wednesday was our 38th year anniversary. She said, you can get when you get home, you can call Corn, or Mickey Plowler or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you what, we had an awesome time. It was beautiful weather. I'm going to tell you what, you go down there and eat, you go eat and sleep and get up and walk. You walk.
Yeah.
We drove our car down there and party. We got in there this morning at 10 o'clock to come back to lunch. We didn't move the car. We walked. Best exercise I ever had. Yeah, but
well, I'm glad that you and the missus had a great time and
we did.
Had a wonderful celebrating your This was anniversary number what? 38. Was this 38?
Let me finish the story on the Sports Talk thing.
Yeah.
All right. Yesterday evening, we was coming down in the elevator, and me and her was talking. The guy said he's from Fort Mill somewhere.
Yeah.
He's from Fort Mill, older guy. He said, "Did you call in?" He's a Clemson man. He had Clemson on. You know, I represent too.
Were you wearing Clemson stuff?
Oh yeah, you know it. I don't leave home without it.
Okay, all right. Just wondering.
Anyway, he said, "You Tiger Brand, I listen, Corn Blue." I said, "Yep." I said, he said, "I heard you Tuesday morning on the roar, Big Blau." I said, "Yep." I said, "Because Mama cut me off." I said, "She cut me off till I get back to town." He said, "Well, who do you favorite the most?" I said, "Well, I'm a diehard Clemson man, but hey, there's one person that has put up with me for 30 years or almost. Corn Blue. We could have read a book of what we, me and you used to butt heads all the time, did we not?
Did we argue? Did we used to fight?
No, we butt heads. We didn't argue.
Well, that's arguing, butting heads. Usually that's an argument.
Yeah, wait, I'm going to tell you. We've been through thick and thin.
Yes,
let me
we
say
have.
that.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Man.
Yeah.
You ain't never let me down, my brother.
Never.
I appreciate it. Well, can I give a shout out for my buddy up here, the St. Patty Day in Lancaster, Raw Deal, Mark Baker, my buddy. That's Mark. That's Mickey Plowers Jr.'s uncle. Plays in the band, Raw Deal. They up there, we giving half the money to the North Carolina refund, the disaster stuff, you know what I mean? But come on up here, Lancaster. We love you, man. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Tiger Brian. Thank you very much. I was trying to really kind of make out what he was saying there at the end, but did you catch what he said?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out, but all good, Tiger Brian. Good hearing from you. Glad you had a great time down in Georgetown at the George. I got to check that place out next time I'm in Georgia. Bergie, I'm surprised you haven't gone to the George since you have a...
I'd never even heard of it until Tiger Brian called in last week or the week before and let us know that's where he was celebrating his anniversary. And we looked it up during the break. It is an extremely nice hotel.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I can slide in there.
Absolutely.
I don't have Tiger Brian kind of money.
So on top of the death of John Feinstein, now I'm seeing where Dennis Dodd announced he's retiring. On April 10th, after 27 years with CBS Sports. How about that? Dennis Dodd, another excellent reporter, another excellent writer. And he says, time for new adventures. I'll still be around, just not on deadline. So I wonder if that means he's moving on to something else or truly retiring. I don't know. Interesting stuff from that standpoint. Let's go to Ray. Oh, by the way, let's update. You're watching it. What you got?
Texas is up 4, 90-86 with 30 seconds left to play in second overtime. Texas A&M with the ball and just called a timeout.
All right. Again, this does not guarantee Texas is going to get in the tournament.
It does not.
No, I mean, they're one of those on the outside right now. So if they win, they hold – whoever wins this game moves on to the – I got to get my days right here. So they move on to the quarterfinals tomorrow.
Correct.
Yeah, because I have to remember that the ACC started earlier because they had their championship on Saturday. So it's semifinal night tomorrow in the ACC while it's the quarterfinal round tomorrow in the SEC. And they will move on. Who are they going to play if they win? They play They play. Who won the Arkansas game today? Arkansas.
Ole Miss, but Ole Miss
They'll
gets
play
Auburn.
Ole Miss.
No. The team that Texas A&M or Texas will play was one of the top 4 seeds, so they haven't even shown up yet. Because,
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Ole Miss gets Auburn tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And Ole Miss won on a last-second 3, did they not?
Correct.
Yeah.
The winner of this game will face Tennessee tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
And then Florida and Alabama are the other 2 that had the double bye.
Let's go to Ray and Elgin. Next up, A&M just scored 90-89, double overtime, 22 seconds. Hello, Ray. Welcome to Sports Talk. How you doing?
Doing good, Phil. Phil, I take it if somehow South Carolina makes the NIT, which I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think you're going to be doing a remote from the conference.
There'll be no remotes. No, there'll be no. There might not even be. There might not even be a mention. There might not even be a mention.
No.
Now listen, I've covered the NIT. I have always covered with one of our teams in the NIT, South Carolina Clemson. We have given it its full due. We've covered it. I've been to Madison Square Garden back-to-back years when the Gamecocks won their NIT championships. I was up there to cover it. Covered Clemson and their runs in the NIT. We've covered the NIT. But this is a joke. This is an absolute insult to college athletics and to college fans because, as I've said before, they treat the fans like they're drug addicts and they're the providers. And they just think you're going to show up and spend your money over any piece of any piece of garbage that they throw out there at you. They think Gamecock fans are going to show up for this debacle if it happens, if that were to happen. For that matter, any fan of any team that gets into the NIT this way, they should all be embarrassed. Every college fan should boycott it, not even pay it any attention, and move on to baseball and spring football. Seriously. Shame on everybody involved in this process. Just shame on you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I agree 100%. But what I called about Phil, I was I was reading in a certain newspaper online yesterday, yesterday I believe it was, about a certain player, and Nick Pringle was talking about if he came back next year, there's certain demands he wanted. And guys, I'm thinking, as inconsistent as your play has been, and as bad as you played in that game against Arkansas, if I'm Coach Paris, if any player came in there with demands, and if his initials weren't CMB, I'm saying, son, there's a door, hit that door, and don't come back.
Now,
I really think next year. Go ahead.
Let me challenge you on this a little bit, unless I didn't see what you saw. I saw the comments that were written about by him after the game, and he wasn't talking about, unless I missed something, I thought he was talking about roster change, what players they kind of need.
Well, yeah.
He wasn't talking about money. He needed a bigger deal or anything like that. I didn't see that part if it was there. I thought he was talking about, for them to get back to a winning team, they got to have older. He wanted older players. He wanted Paris to go hit the portal and bring in older players to age that team up a little bit and make it a more veteran team than what apparently, in his opinion, what they had this year.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. But this is what I got to say. I think Coach Paris, when he looks at the players, he's coming back because it's probably quite evident CMB is going to the NBA. I don't think he can afford to hold on to maybe 4 of these guys because he's got to try to build a winner next year. And I don't know if the players are there. I think he might can keep 3 or 4 of the current players because you're not going to win with those guys. And I know that's mean, but he's got to make some hard decisions. And I really think he's got to have some conversations on some of these kids and just let them know, son, I'm sorry, it just didn't work out, because he's got to free up some moves he can make on that portal. Because, next year, and I'm a huge Coach Paris fan, but next year, if things don't turn around, we could be having a different conversation. But the last thing I want to put out there, Phil, is after Arkansas, they beat us, and Coach Calipari came to, the SEC desk there. A lot of times Cal will say things just to hear Cal talk. But the one thing he said that made a lot of sense, he said, these days in college basketball, it takes more than just a good coach to win. Your administration has to be totally committed. So I think we'll find out if Donati is committed or not. I like to think he is, but like you say, Phil, only time will tell. Hey, guys, thanks for letting me talk.
Thank you. I think he is. He's made comments about giving the basketball team whatever they need to be successful. When you look at this year's roster and who they lose for sure and who might be coming back, I mean, obviously they lose Benjamin Bosmans-Verdonk, and most likely Colin Murray-Boyle's going to lose him. But you look at some of the guys they have coming back. You got Miles Studi, if he gets his approval from a waiver from the NCAA. Certainly,
and
they
if he
missed
does
him.
Not, Phil, that'll be an absolute crime by the NCAA. I've seen them give waivers for a lot less. And here's a guy who missed basically the entire season because of a blood clot. He's got to get another year if he wants it. The NCAA has to grant that.
You know, something we haven't talked about for this year's team. How big of impact had he stayed? Could Ibrima Deba, who you know well, he transferred, right? Did he transfer?
Yes.
He transferred. Where did he end up going? Do you remember?
Oh, goodness.
My point is, as badly as they needed a point guard, could he have been the answer there at point guard?
Oh, there's no doubt. He's at Cleveland State.
Okay.
And I'm just pulling up his stats. Let's see, for this year, 24-25, playing 26 minutes a game, averaging 4 assists a contest, 2 turnovers a game. So there's your 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Shooting 33% from three-point range and 40% from the field, only averaging about 4 points a game. But he's the facilitator for their team.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he would have been a huge – he and Miles Studi both being available, there's your extra points that you needed to get over the 70-point plateau that I was talking about yesterday.
So
that kept
why
them from winning a lot of these close games?
Why in the offseason did they not make a stronger push to keep him and show him you're going to be our guy and, here's a little money for you and all, et cetera, et cetera? Because that could have been your answer right there. You said he's averaging 4 assists a game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they had anybody close to averaging 4 assists a game this year. And you talk
and
about –
he would also been the best defender on that team on the perimeter because he's long and really aggressive defensively, so that would have fit right in. That's part of the reason I think he initially wanted to go to South Carolina because that's who Lamont Paris is. So he was the perfect fit for Lamont Paris. I agree with you, though. I don't know why they didn't make a better push for him, or maybe it's a situation where he felt like he wasn't going to fit and be able to play as much at USC as maybe somewhere else, and that's why he dropped down to a mid-major at Cleveland State.
Well, you look at their roster, and now you don't know what these guys are thinking, but I would certainly make a concerted effort to keep Jordan Butler. I just think there's potential there. I mean, just the rarity of a guy that big who can shoot it like he can. Plus, he showed a little bit more as he got a little more confident and a little more experience. I wouldn't let that guy walk away. I would make sure I keep him. I would, if Nick Pringle is able to come back, if he gets the waiver because of his junior college year, if he gets that back, that would be 2. Studi comes back as 3. Ugasuk, I'd have him back. That's 4. Conyers I'd have back 5. Cam Scott would be 6. You got Federico coming back. That's 7. And then you've got, assuming CMB leaves, that's 7. You got 4 signees. That's 11. So you got some wiggle room to play with there. Zachary Davis, I just don't see it there for him at this level. I just don't see the quality and the consistent play. He had a terrible game yesterday. Everybody else is out of eligibility. So if you can keep those guys, he's got 4 freshmen coming in. You do have some room to play with regarding the portal there as far as some space. So, all right, we're going to hit the break. Have we got a final?
Yes, Texas did win.
All right, I'm pulling for them. I want them to get in the tournament. God, I want them to get in the tournament. Please, Texas, make the tournament. That would be something. And that would mean if they make the tournament, but then everybody else, Oklahoma probably needs maybe one more win to make it as well. I'm pulling for Texas and Oklahoma to make the – that'd be 14. And you know what that means. Oh, that'd be awesome. Back in a moment.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network. There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. Got some notes coming in to us, some text messages. Edward writes, Phil, why do you watch ESPN since you hate them so much? Well, I like the games. I mean, it's the only place, for the most part, to see the game, so you have no choice. I just do not like their talking heads. I don't like a lot of their policies. I don't like the fact that they run college sports because they make decisions that aren't in the best interest of the students or the fans. They make decisions in the best interest of them. Now, you could say, well, they pay all that money. They should be able to do that. This is true. They do pay all that money, and I blame the people that take the money, that give up control of their product for the sake of the money. And that's why we have games, basketball games that tip off at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. That's great for the student athlete, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's why we play football games in the South in September with 12 o'clock kickoffs, and it's 110 degrees in the stands. That's great for everybody. Sterling writes, how important was Zach Davis last year defensively? How do you let him walk with his length and athleticism? He can't score. That's a team that needs scorers, right? They need points.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I know you got to play some defense. Don't get me wrong, and I'll give you that with him. But he can't score. Do you see what he did yesterday? His shot was terrible yesterday. I got a good look at it because I was sitting on the floor, which is one of the beautiful things about the tournament. You get to sit on the floor instead of up in the rafters. So I get a whole – I'm jealous of you because you get to watch basketball from the best view in the house, right on the floor.
Oh, yeah, it's really nice, except when we go, it's ironic, because you got the nice seats at the SEC tournament. At the Sun Belt, they stick the radio crews up on the concourse level upstairs. It's a horrible view. Yeah, it really is. And to your point about Zach Davis, I mean, he averaged 9 points a game, shot 29% from three-point range.
Yeah.
You can't have that with one of your guards.
I like his athleticism and his length, but that team is starving for points. Be back, top of the hour.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. It's a day before a government shutdown unless Republicans and Democrats can find a way to pass a continuing resolution with either one that the House GOP crafted or an alternative Democratic 30-day CR. Texas Senator John Cornyn says Democrats have no options but to vote for funding the government.
I think they'll cave. I mean, you're talking about people who have been railing against Elon Musk and the Trump administration over reductions in force of the federal employees, and now they basically want to put all of them out of work by shutting down the government. So that seems to be, I don't know how you reconcile those two positions.
As the Senate opened with 1 day to go before Friday's midnight deadline, the Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune said it's time to fish or cut bait. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to rehire thousands of probationary workers who were let go in mass firings. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
U.S. District Judge William Alsup found the firings didn't follow federal law, and he ordered that all fired probationary employees be offered their jobs back immediately. The judge described the mass firings as a sham. The ruling affects employees from multiple federal agencies, including the Departments of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, the Interior, and the Treasury. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Columbia University says it has expelled or suspended some students who took over a campus building during pro-Palestinian protests last spring, and it temporarily revoked the diplomas of some students who have since graduated. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb. Expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer, $149 or less. And soon, one expert tax prep for $149 or less. Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Wall Street tumbles for its first S&P 500 correction since 2023. We hear more on today's market activity from correspondent Seth Sutel reporting from New York.
Wall Street sank again following President Donald Trump's latest escalation of his trade war. The S&P 500 fell 1 4/10% Thursday, finishing more than 10% below the record high it set just last month. Professional investors call such a decline a correction. It's the first for the index since 2023. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 537 points. It's about 1 3/10%. The Nasdaq Composite lost 2%. Even a pair of encouraging reports on the economy, showing better than expected readings on inflation and joblessness, couldn't offset worries about escalating tariffs around the world. Treasury yields sank in the bond market as pessimism built about the economy. Seth Sutel, New York.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 50 overnight. Tomorrow it's a blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high temperature of 78. For the weekend on Saturday, look for a warm day, mostly cloudy skies. The high is 82. There's a slight 20% chance of a late shower. Sunday gets ugly, heavy rain, thunderstorms to go with a high temp of 73. I'm Cal Most with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back. It is Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina. Appreciate you joining us tonight, wherever you have dialed us up, whether it's over one of our great affiliates. I was talking to some of our station owners today. What great people that own our radio stations. They care about their communities. They care about quality local programming. We're glad to be a part of all that. Of course, you could be watching us on a stream as well. We get that. But we prefer that you choose your radio station, your local radio station, because that's what makes everything thrive. Clemson's starting rotation for their ACC series opener against Notre Dame will be Aiden Canuck tomorrow, Ethan Darden on Saturday, and Justin LeGwarnick on Sunday. So per usual for the Tigers with their rotation, they get ready to take on Notre Dame. We got recruiting coming up, comments from Dabo Swinney coming up, and a whole bunch more. But right now, golf. The golf season, as far as I'm concerned now, hits a high point in the world with the players going on this week, Masters around the corner, PGA coming up, the Open coming up. As MJ told us last night, we got something big every month now for months to come. Plus, of course, got the RBC Heritage at Harbor Town. Looking forward to being back down there for that. Let's go to Ponte Vedra and MJ Ward from Golf Today, International Golf Writer of Acclaim, joining us now here on Sports Talk live from the Players. Great to have you with us. We'll talk about the golf in a moment, but I mentioned this earlier in the show as I first saw it because I've been driving back from Nashville. I'm sure all of you in Ponte Vedra in the golf writing world stunned by the news regarding John Feinstein today.
Yeah, Phil, that was really heartbreaking. I've known John for a long time, and just a fantastic guy. When you lose people like John, and then not too many years back when Tim Rosaforte passed on, really true, gifted, talented storytellers. That's what John was about, and he really was one of the real key players in doing what I call the long-form reporting, which is, you're not here just to tell people, the outcome of a game or whatever happened, but developing the behind the scenes and really going in for the deep dive. I mean, The Season on the Brink about Bob Knight and the Hoosiers is probably one of the finest books that's ever been put out in that regard. I mean, he did another book in the golf arena, Good Walk Spoiled, which was really a chronicling of the events and activities on the PGA Tour. I'm not going to say that I was a cocktail friend of John, but I knew of him in the press area and certainly respected his work. I know one thing: he would never make a comment unless he had it really well sourced. He was just not going to lob opinions, and I think that's more than anything else what makes him stand out, is that he was able to get people to talk behind the scenes, but certainly be part of what he was doing. And I think that's what makes, any good writer is you have to have sources. I mean, anybody who's been involved in writing for any amount of time, if you don't have the right sources, and then people have to trust you. I mean, that's the other factor. You got to be able to be candid, but you can't be at the same time disrespectful of the fact of where you're going to get the information from. And, it's a balancing act, okay? You're not here to be the friends of the athletes, but you can't also be antagonistical without having something that can really back up whatever the comments may be. And John was really a true professional. I'm sorry he's gone, and I just know that it's a loss to the to the community because he was a wonderful storyteller.
No question. His brother, in a story here on ESPN.com, said that he died of natural causes at his home in McLean, Virginia. He died at his brother's home. It says here, Robert Feinstein said he discovered his brother's body, age of 69, and that is it. That's all the details that we have. That's just very, very sad that this has happened. A tremendous loss for the sports reporting business, no question about it, both in terms of he did writing, of course, and he did television work, too. Just a tremendous reporter. So we'll miss him. We'll miss his work. All right, now to the tournament, and we've got Lucas Glover, the Clemson standout, at the top of the heap right now with J.J. Spawn and Camilo Villegas. They are in at 66. Tell us about Lucas Glover, what you saw from him today, and he just continues to motor on. I mean, he doesn't let age or anything kind of get in his way. Not that he's an elder statesman, but he's kind of getting up there. That's a heck of a round for him to be on top of this thing after day one.
You know, it really is amazing. I can remember following him when he won the U.S. Open at Bethpage in 2009, and a lot of people were saying, Lucas who? I mean, because basically he came out of I wouldn't say nowhere, but he was kind of like a journeyman player. But what's remarkable is that his game has gotten actually better as he's gotten older.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's up there. He's a steady player in what's going on. And I think one of the things that was concerning was, you know, when they were picking the golf teams that they were talking about, whether it's President's Cup or Ryder Cup, and Lucas had a year about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, where he won 2 tournaments in a row, and sadly he got left out, and he was not picked for the Ryder Cup matches that took place in Rome. But I will say, that the reality of this is that he can golf his ball, he can play, and more importantly, he's been outspoken. I mean, he's put it right out there. His concerns about the new arrangement that was going to take place with the PGA Tour in terms of less available spots. He kind of represents, Phil, I hate to say this, I don't want to get waxed on here too much, but he's kind of sort of like the Jimmy Stewart guy of golf. In other words, he's not afraid to tell you what he needs to say. He's not going to say it in an antagonistical way, but he's not going to pull back. I mean, he's one, and it's refreshing when you speak to him because he's going to tell you what he thinks. And I'm glad to see that he's played well. It would be a highlight, certainly, of his career at his age now if this were to fulfill itself with a victory in the Players' Championship. But I mean, when I look at his card today, I mean, he got off to a good start, 3 birdies in the first 7 holes, and then he went through a period where he made a number of bogeys back-to-back at 11 and 12, and then you start to begin to wonder, okay, is this just going to be an ordinary round, maybe 1 under, even par? And then he went into overdrive. I mean, he birdied 4 consecutive at the end, and I mean, he really came in fire at the end of the day. And it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it's 1 round. You have to put things obviously in context. It's 18 holes. There's 54 to play, but it's a great storyline. And there's a good storyline with a few of the guys that are up there near the top. And I'm really happy for him because he is playing really some of the best golf probably the best golf he's ever played in his life. And, it's nice to have somebody from Clemson, obviously the South Carolina connection, be on top or tied for the top at the Players.
Yeah. He's 45 years old. He's got 6 wins since he turned pro in 2001. So he's had a really outstanding career. I mean, we talk about guys with double-digit wins, if not more, on the PGA Tour. But, I mean, heck, if you get 1, that's an accomplishment. But I think anything 5 and above, that kind of puts you in, I'm not going to say superstar status, but it puts you in that higher tier, I would say. If you got 5 or more PGA Tour wins, and, of course, he's got a major, I think that puts you in that elite tier.
Yeah, I mean, I think, let me put it this way. One of the things that's interesting about men's professional golf now, it's drifting younger. It's not drifting older. So if you can say that you're in the ballpark and like you're around the lead or you're contending and you're at 40 years old and more, that's much more of an achievement than it was years back. Years back it was, hey, you took 5 years or so to get acclimated to the PGA Tour before you started to begin to win or to show that you had the talent. But now it's the reverse. Now you have guys 20, 21, 22. They're ready to play. And, anybody that can be on the PGA Tour, I don't think most fans have an understanding of how good you have to be to play elite professional golf. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to describe that until you've really been exposed to it on a constant basis. I've been lucky to have been in that lane. And when you get somebody in their 40s and they're doing what he's doing, it's sort of what you saw years back, not too many years back, but a number of years ago when Vijay Singh was winning the amount of times he did in his 40s. And then, of course, the ultimate was when Phil won the PGA Championship at Kiowa a couple of years back, being the first 50-year-old player. It does not happen as often now, because I just think that the talent base of what's out there on tour is off the charts. It's really solid, and what he's done, and then more importantly, he's spoken up. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things about Lucas is he's put it out there. I mean, he had his own strong feelings about how the tour was looking at restructuring itself, and he felt that, hey, the guys at the very top, they're just looking out for themselves, and he was kind of the guy who was speaking up for the rest of the players who every year, Phil, it's a test to stay out on tour, to keep your card. I mean, there's no joke out there. If you think you're going to be in the top 100, you're going to have to play your golf. You're going to have to show something. And, Lucas has not been afraid to put it out there and say his piece. And I think he has the respect of a lot of players on tour because he's at an age where he can say certain things that maybe somebody who's 23, 24, or 30 may want to hold back and not say as much. Sure. But, I give him credit on a lot of different levels. And, if he can play well or show some semblance of this, I don't want to get way ahead of myself because there's a lot of golf to be played in the calendar year. But, it would be something to see him on a Ryder Cup team as a crowning achievement for his career.
MJ Ward with us tonight, looking back on the opening round of the Players down near Jacksonville. And, MJ, I wanted to follow up on your point about the tour skewing younger. How much do you believe that's the Tiger Woods effect, that he made it cool for young men in our country and overseas as well to go play golf as opposed to maybe playing tennis or basketball or baseball? And I mean, how much do you think his influence on the game and the superstar status he had when those guys were in their formative ages made them turn to golf, and part of the reason that the tour is getting younger?
You raise a good point. I don't have any statistical data, off the top of my head, but I just think that, when you look at what the depth of players are, the exposure to competition starts at a very early age. I mean, when you had guys, when Nicklaus was coming up in junior golf, there was a handful of national junior tournaments that you could play in. And, that was certainly present. You could. But with the American Junior Golf Association, you got young boys and girls, they're exposed to instruction at a much higher level. They've played competition for a much longer period of time. And, they're just not in awe. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, when they come out on tour and you stand on the practice tee and there's a Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler, I mean, they know who those players are, okay? But they're not saying to them, hey, you know what, I'm just going to roll over. There is a lot of talent that is out there on tour, and what a lot of people don't realize, and this goes really big, is how much talent there is on the Korn Ferry Tour. I mean, people see only the people on the PGA Tour. You have a lot of guys that are just looking to obviously make your mark, but so much of the golf world that you see today is about being exposed to competitions. I mean, if you really want to take a look at why golf is what it is, you don't see the kind of funky swings like Jim Furyk's anymore. I mean, these guys, when they come out, it's almost like they're being robots in terms of the swings that they have. These guys are better prepared. They have a team of people around them, whether it's nutritionists or psychologists or swing coaches. I mean, they're better prepared than ever before. And certainly you have to give Tiger, an appreciation of what he did because, look, he was 21 years old, and he just took the golf world by storm. And he did it at Augusta, in '97 when he just blew away the field by 12 shots. So, yeah, they saw him, and now you're going to be seeing what's going to come forward. I fully expect you're going to see a lot more younger players make their mark in professional golf, and I think you're going to see it as early as this year, and certainly in the coming months and years ahead.
So they had calm conditions today, coolish temperatures, the wind about 8 miles an hour. Obviously, that allowed for some very good scores. What are we looking at tomorrow weather-wise? Anything coming in that's going to toughen things up a little bit?
I don't really think that, yes, there's always going to be the vagaries of what weather can be like. I don't think it's really going to be much different, in that regard. But I will say one thing, you can't rest on your laurels. I mean, I think anybody at the top, whether it's, Camilo Villegas and you got Min Woo Lee and Billy Horschel and certainly Rory McIlroy is sitting right off the, where he needs to be. And Scotty is not that far back. There's a lot of golf to be played here, but one thing you have to be very careful of, I mean, this is the kind of golf course you can get on a roll, but there's also times if you push it too far, too fast, you have holes out here where you can get bit real fast, and then you're going to be playing from positions that are not going to have you make birdie. There's obviously 54 holes, so there's a ton of golf left here. I don't think anybody is out of this thing. I mean, if you're as much as even 8-9 shots back, you can certainly turn the tide on this thing. A lot of things can happen, and like always, keep in mind with tee times, the guys who went out early, they go out late tomorrow, and the guys who went out late today, they go out early. So, a lot of things can happen in the interim as you get through 36 holes. Once the deck has been reshuffled, and the players are then paired with each other for the final 36 holes, then we're going to see exactly, who's got the game to play for the last 2 days.
Looking forward to it. MJ, thank you as always. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Guys, a pleasure. And again, my passing remarks about John Feinstein, fantastic writer, and he will certainly be missed.
I concur. We all do. Thank you. Thank you, MJ. See you tomorrow. MJ Ward from The Players, 17 today. 17, the par 3 over the water, the island green, yielded 19 birdies. It was the 7th hardest hole on the course today with 19 birdies. The most difficult hole on the course today was the par 4, 14th, 485 yards. Only 9 birdies.
I understand why.
9 birdies and 32 bogeys. Be back in a moment.
Some credit cards hit you with sky-high rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25% APR. Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR. So you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees, just straightforward savings, designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax, you're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required, terms and conditions apply.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Now back to Phil, Chris, and Josh with Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryan here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and we have some good news for you. We now can design your backyard green so you can play the golf of your dreams right there in the comfort of your own home and at your schedule. So one of the things that I've known for decades is the greatest players have always refined their skills at home, and now you can. So TsunamiBarSports.com for the golf of your dreams in your own backyard.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, let's jump to it. It's recruiting time here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. It's Seawell's time. Seawell's time, 11 till 2 tomorrow. What do we have on a Seawell's Friday? I'm hoping it's a roast beef Friday. I might swing by there and chomp down on some of that. What do we have, Mr. Plummer?
Well, it's not roast beef, unfortunately. It's just going to be beef brisket, southern fried chicken, baked flounder fillets, and fried pork chops. So they make up with it.
That's a very good selection. A very good selection. You can enjoy all that and more at the Daily Luncheon Buffet, the DLB. The DLB at Seawells. And when you need the very best, not something that's not the best, you want the best in catering, that is Seawells. 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. South Carolina offensive line coach Lonnie Teasley last night offered offensive tackle Wilson Zaire, 6'6", 285, Rabun Gap, Georgia. Also has offers from Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Penn State, Tennessee, Michigan, North Carolina, Duke, Florida State, Florida, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Southern Cal, Wisconsin, and Maryland. I was trying to get through that with one breath. Couldn't quite pull it off. He has set official visits with Georgia, Auburn, and Pitt. 27, offensive tackle Maxwell Hiller, 6'6", 300, Coatesville, Pennsylvania, also offered by South Carolina last night. He has set a spring visit to USC for March 27th. He also visited USC last April. He's a nationally recruited prospect who also has spring visits set with Georgia and Alabama. Some of his other P4 offers included Southern Cal, Duke, Nebraska, Miami, Florida State, Indiana, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Penn State, and Michigan.
Nice.
South Carolina recently offered 2027 offensive tackle Sean Tatum, 6'5", 315 of Fort Pierce, Florida. He also has offers from Tennessee, Pitt, Auburn, Louisville, Texas A&M, Penn State, UCF, Florida, Florida State, Baylor, and Syracuse. He has a spring visit set with Miami for March 29th. Clemson's in the top 10 with running back Jay Lamar, 6 feet 205, Moultrie, Georgia. The others are Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Auburn, Florida State, Florida, Alabama, North Carolina, and Tennessee. He plans to visit Ohio State March 20th, Clemson March 25th per On3. He has set official visits to Auburn May 16th, Georgia May 30th, Miami June 13th, Florida State June 20th. He visited Florida last Friday. He has called Georgia his favorite. Lamar plans to commit July 4th. He also is a track standout and a survivor of a gunshot wound at some point in his life. He was shot, but he has recovered, and he's made himself into a heck of a football player. We got a few more notes coming up after the break, and Smitty joins us from Charlotte coming up after the break. We'll get the latest from the ACC. We got some Dabo Swinney coming up as well. And we better get to that interview with Brandon Cisse. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 50 overnight. Tomorrow it's a blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high temperature of 78. For the weekend on Saturday, look for a warm day, mostly cloudy skies. The high is 82. There's a slight 20% chance of a late shower. Sunday gets ugly, heavy rain, thunderstorms to go with a high temp of 73. I'm Cal Most with your On Point local weather.
If you step onto H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at HandJCattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a federal judge in California has ordered the Trump administration to rehire thousands of probationary workers let go in mass firings across multiple agencies. U.S. District Judge William Alsop on Thursday found the firings didn't follow federal law and required immediate offers of reinstatement be sent. The agencies include the Departments of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, the Interior, and the Treasury. New Mexico has paired up with the Alzheimer's Association in a pilot U.S. initiative aimed at raising awareness about a disease that affects several million people in the country. The relationship with the nonprofit group has been a year in the making. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 537 points. More details at srnnews.com.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Step into a brighter future with Broker Solar. Transform your home, your business, your nonprofit into a beacon of efficiency and savings. With Broker Solar, you're not just installing solar panels, you're setting the foundation for long-term financial savings, taking control over these power companies that, well, let's face it, they have a monopoly. You can't choose your power company, but you can control the cost of your power. Ken and his expert team will help you to navigate through any complexities of solar energy. They'll tailor a system that's perfectly fit for your needs and for your budget. Get a rooftop setup or somewhere else on your land, or just start with solar to integrate powerful battery backups so when the storms do come, the power goes out in your block, it'll stay on at your home. It's not for everyone, but if you're even curious, don't you owe it to yourself to reach out and call Broker Solar for a free consultation? Listen, if you trust the point, if you trust me, I'm telling you, you can trust Broker Solar. Explore your solar potential at brokersolar.com. Start generating power on your terms. Broker Solar, empowering you while shining above the rest.
Back we are, Sports Talk Media Network. Wrap up recruiting, and Smitty joins us from the ACC tournament in Charlotte. A few more notes. Defensive end Kamari Brooks of Bogart, Georgia, who's had Clemson on his short list, set official visits to Georgia May 30th, Alabama June 6th, Texas June 13th, Southern Cal June 20th. He was scheduled to be at Clemson last weekend. Haven't yet seen any confirmation that he was actually there. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. South Carolina Clemson target offensive tackle Darius Gray was at Tennessee yesterday, South Carolina target wide receiver Brody Keefe of Charlotte was at Florida yesterday. Bergie, a question.
Yes, sir.
So I have a bad habit. When I say something and want to correct myself, I always say, I'm sorry. I'll say something. If I say it wrong, I'm sorry. Right. Now, you as a play-by-play guy, what is your go-to phrase when you get something wrong and you want to correct it?
Well, first off, I never do, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Actually, pardon me is my go-to phrase.
You go with pardon me.
Pardon me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Smitty's on the line. Smitty, what is your go-to phrase when you have to correct yourself on the air?
Oh, well, I just take a cue from our politicians, and I just lean into the lie. If you misspeak, that becomes a new truth.
Okay. South Carolina target wide receiver Brody Keefe of Charlotte at Florida yesterday. Clemson target linebacker Tyler Atkinson going to Oregon this weekend. South Carolina target defensive tackle Brian Harris of Jacksonville, offered by Michigan and Colorado. South Carolina target linebacker Adam Balagoon Ali was offered by Oklahoma. Basketball from Joe Tipton, East Tennessee State guard Kumari Peterson, Southern Conference Player of the Year. He's transferring per his agents. He's out of Gary, Indiana, 20 points per game last season, 47% from the field and 42% from three. Anybody know of a team around here that could – thank you.
Yeah, no question.
Anybody know of a team around here that could use this guy? I would say so.
He could start for the Gamecocks tomorrow.
In the NIT.
The NIT.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, get him in and get him into the NIT. There you go with recruiting tonight, brought to you by Seawells. Let's go to Charlotte, the Queen City, where the king of the tournaments, he was at the SEC Women's last week. Now he's at the ACC this week. Matt Smith on the scene, and I'm sure the buzz is still about the injuries to Duke and how that's going to impact them moving forward in the tournament.
Yes, and I was just speaking to someone about how many fans were here for Duke, and it was significant. Usually this is a North Carolina tournament. As a matter of fact, it took me a while to get in. I was wearing light blue mistakenly tonight, and the ACC officials working the door didn't recognize me. So they didn't like that. They said, wait a minute, you're not a North Carolina guy. And I had to explain to them this was a fashion choice. But, yeah, and it's a great venue for it. I've been here for a little while. Tremendous setting. So Duke got to win earlier today, but as you said, sustained some injuries. And North Carolina picked up a win, and Louisville's locked in a tight one early with Stanford, but Louisville, of course, is favored in this one. And then you've got Clemson and SMU in just a little bit, and one of these things is not the same, and that's SMU playing really good basketball. They held Syracuse to 53 points in their ACC tournament victory, first one ever for SMU, and maybe Syracuse didn't have a lot to play for, but coming away from that ball game, I was very impressed with two things from SMU. One, the way they handled Syracuse's zone, and the fact that they were able to get the ball into the mid-range, and Matt Cross, who scored in double figures, I believe 8 straight games now. Also, the way that they defended held Syracuse to 53 points. Now, I don't know, how Syracuse felt since they knew they weren't going anywhere, how they played in this last game. And we saw Clemson lay an egg last year in Washington, D.C., in their only ACC outing against BC last year. So you never know how a team is going to react, neutral floor, all of that. But SMU played really well. They did not play well the last time they met Clemson, but they played spectacular basketball in the second half last night to put Stanford away.
Well, if you're Clemson and your SMU, of course, there's still another game. Whoever wins their game is another one to deal with tomorrow, of course. It's probably going to be Louisville. But, I mean, everybody on that side of the bracket, just like North Carolina, I guess, they look at this wounded Duke team now, Smitty, and they all got to think the survivors from today will all be thinking tomorrow, Duke is wounded. They're there for the taking now, and this trophy, this championship's wide open.
It is wide open, and of course, as much as anything, Duke didn't need this. Now, I don't know what to believe, because you'll remember, I'm a Lakers fan. I saw Paul Pierce get out of a wheelchair once. Cooper Flagg was in a wheelchair earlier today. I saw Paul Pierce get out of a wheelchair after 20 minutes. So I don't know. I'm sure Flagg is the X-rays were negative, but I'm sure he's not going to play the rest of this tournament.
I can top that. I was a ball boy with the Knicks when Willis Reed came limping out of the locker room that day. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't rub that in. I have absolutely permanently blocked that highlight out of my memory. But I was going to say, you're right, Corn. This is here for the taking, and you just wonder how that reaction goes over in the Clemson locker room. You're not supposed to ever think that you can't win, especially when you're Clemson, and they've already beaten Duke. They beat Duke with Cooper Flagg and their troops at full strength. So I suspect Clemson was supremely confident that they had a chance for a run anyway, but you're human. Everybody sees that, and you have to know, if you're Clemson, you're one of the favorites now looking ahead. North Carolina absolutely feels better about their chances, and we'll see how Louisville plays here. Again, they were locked in a close one here at Stanford in the first half. I don't know how that game's going to turn out, but Louisville, Clemson, North Carolina, and look, SMU hasn't been eliminated yet, so everybody has to feel better about their chances. I'll say this about SMU. I just got done complimenting them. But if you look at it from a matchups perspective, maybe the reason they struggle with Clemson in particular, and they did the first time they played in Dallas, is because Clemson forces turnovers. They forced Virginia Tech into 23 turnovers. SMU, as good as they've been this year, and they have been good, and they've had to travel a lot, and they've still played well, they turn the ball over 17% of their offensive possessions. And Clemson is very good at harassing ball handlers. So I think SMU's playing good basketball, but this might be their kryptonite. This might be a really bad matchup for Clemson here, for SMU against Clemson in 2 hours.
Yeah. I think, talking with Matt Smith from the ACC tournament in Charlotte, I think that Clemson, and Berger, you've watched a lot of it too, but just watching them in person and on television, I think they're executing right now. I think they're executing during this winning streak about as well as anybody in the country is executing. I mean, their assists are high, their turnovers are low, their shooting percentages in all areas are high, their rebounding is good, they're beating teams by double digits, they're playing good defense and holding teams down. I think from an X and an Owen standpoint and an execution standpoint, Smitty, I think Clemson's playing about as well as anybody in the country. They might not be as good as anybody in the country, but I think they're playing as well as anybody in the country.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly. They don't have the ceiling that a team like Duke does, like some of these, maybe that Auburn does with Johnny Broome. But Clemson's floor is incredibly high when they're playing like this. One thing you'd have to say about the Tigers is, and if you got Brad Brown to be honest about this, they know exactly who they are, right? Like, Chase Hunter doesn't have to go out there and get 25. Chase Hunter can go out there and, as you said, just play his game. He can get 12, and Locken can go out and fill the stat sheet up and play well defensively. And you know what Ian Shefflin brings to the table in terms of across the board, rebounding, helping with assists, grabbing, doing all the dirty things offensively. And then when he has a matchup, going out and scoring. And then Clemson's bench has been excellent during this 8-game winning streak. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Corn. And not only is this team playing really well, and as you said, executing, digging in, doing everything Brad Brownell is asking. In this winning streak, they've defeated Duke, SMU, and North Carolina, 3 of the teams that are right there in front of them in this ACC tournament.
Bergie is, I'm kind of feeling it. Is this the year? Is this Clemson's 1971 like it was for the Gamecocks? Is this the year that at the end of the day they finally raise that ACC basketball tournament championship trophy? How big would that be?
Oh, well, and Brad Brownell sort of deflected that question yesterday at his press conference, and then he realized the moment and came back and said it would be such a big opportunity, big win for his program, for the fans of the Tigers who have stuck with them through certainly a lot of thin and now some of the thick, and also what it would mean to his players. He didn't want to say what it would mean to him. I think it'd be a huge validation for him to go out and win the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship. And one thing you and Smitty each talked about, the execution side of the coin. Clemson's the best team in the ACC right now in terms of turnover margin. They're at a +3. It's ridiculous how well they take care of the basketball, and as Smitty pointed out, harass the other side of the coin. And if SMU turns it over at a great frequency tonight, I agree with you, Matt. They're advancing on to face, and right now it could be anybody because that Louisville-Stanford game going down the wire in the first half, still extremely close and probably a lot closer than Pat Kelsey would like over at U of L.
Yeah. What does the Clemson crowd look like from what you can tell? They're going to have a nice contingent?
I think so. I passed a lot of them coming in that were still enjoying Charlotte. The weather's really good, and they were, eating dinner at some of the great venues here in Charlotte, and we had to park quite a bit away. So I walked, and I got to see a lot of orange on my way in. I've talked to a few people here, and the sentiment has been Duke. Usually this is a North Carolina tournament, and Duke, because its fan base isn't quite as large, but this year, Duke really showed out, and of course, they're all drowning their sorrows in the pubs as I was walking by, because they're just reflecting on what it's going to be like with, flags out for an uncertain amount of time, according to John Shire. We'll wait and see on that. But Clemson has a good turnout. Louisville has a really good turnout as well. And the game going on right now, you see a lot of red in the stands, and you just have to guess that's more that cardinal, not the color cardinal, but it's that Louisville red. But I absolutely expect those Clemson fans that I saw out there walking the streets of Charlotte are going to file in here over the next hour. Okie dokie. You enjoy. We remind everybody to follow you on X, on our X, which is SC Sports Now, SC Sports Now, and post-game coverage on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And hopefully for you, they'll get I hope this game doesn't go into like triple overtime. Hopefully you'll get it tipped around 9:30. Hey, I'll just throw that out at you. Body clock. Clemson's game will tip after 9:30 tonight. Will definitely tip after 9:30 tomorrow if they want to try to make the finals.
There you go. Thank you, Smitty. Back in a moment.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Relax. Start your journey with a new auto loan. Get on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our low fixed rates can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget with no payments for up to 90 days. You can apply for a pre-approved spending limit even before you start shopping. Visit one of our many convenient office locations or go to foundersfcu.com/auto to apply for an auto loan today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit. 803-765-2968 or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
George Bryan here with Tsunami Bar Sports and some great spring golf news. If you're ready to mash your tater, I think you need a Laginator. And if you want to get more speed and crack the whip, it's time for a mini stick. So TsunamiBarSports.com, GB10 to get 10% off the Laginator and the mini stick. That's TsunamiBarSports.com, GB10 for 10% off.
All right, time for some spring football talk here on Sports Talk. And it is, of course, all our spring football coverage, Clemson and South Carolina, brought to you by Lawyer Lisa. I cannot say that. Lawyer Lisa. Let me hear you say that, Chris. Lawyer
Lisa.
Lawyer Lisa. Lawyer.
And it's Janai Broom, too.
Lisa.
So we can go ahead and get both of those out at the same time.
Yes, I know it is. Thank you for correcting me again. Lawyer.
Well, Smitty did too.
I know. I was hoping that something would come up with Auburn so I could say Janai Broom. Lawyer Lisa. Visit Lawyer Lisa. I just have a hard time with that. Getting my mouth to form those words. LawyerLisa.com. Find out how Lawyer Lisa and her team can help you plan for your family's future. All right, let's check on Clemson, because they're the only one practicing, but they're going on spring break. South Carolina commences next week. We'll hear from Shane Beamer first of the week. Here's Dabo Swinney last night after the Tigers had their first scrimmage of the spring.
Good to be able to put the ball down and play a little bit. Obviously we got a lot of guys out, and so you're mixing and matching some things, and sometimes you got some guys can't play, but they got to be in there because we need 11 guys, because we really need to see these guys over here to get some reps. But it's good. I mean, we just got to keep going. Got to develop our team. I thought defensively they were awesome in the red zone today. They turned the offense over in the red zone a few times, which was good to see from the defensive perspective. But I thought we were too casual with the ball on the offensive side. But all in all, again, first scrimmage, first time to kind of play and coach as coaches, in a kind of creating a game environment. I thought we were really undisciplined, a bunch of really critical penalties, personal fouls, had to throw a guy out, jumped offside on 4th and 11. I mean, made a field goal, had a guy move, so we got to back it up, missed the field goal, so points off. So some critical things that can get you beat from a discipline standpoint. So I didn't think we were a very disciplined team today. But, a lot of guys flash and guys are competing. But, again, first scrimmage, just got to keep improving individually and collectively as a team. Because, again, end of the day, that's our strength. Our strength's never been in any individual right here. It's always been in team. It's always been in depth. And so, we got a ways to go to get to that point.
You'd kind of hinted that you play a lot of younger guys in these situations. Have you seen any of them start to kind of step to the front a little bit?
Yeah, some of them. But long way to go. Again, it's first time for a lot of them to play, but some of those mid-years catch your eye. It's good to see them athletically and kind of where, who they are physically and athletically. I think you got a chance to develop those guys, but long way to go. So we'll come back. We've got a lot more work to do halfway through.
With the turnovers, red zone turnovers, fumbles, interceptions?
Oh, no, interceptions. Yeah, interceptions. One was a tip ball. Tips are usually picks, as they say. And a couple of them just bad decisions and good plays by the defense.
I guess running back wise, did anybody flash there at running back?
They all flash. I really think we got a very good group. I think it's been a lot of fun working with Adam. He's a problem. It's an interesting matchup with him. Because he's so dynamic in the passing game, and how do you play him? So he's he's flashed really all spring. He looks confident. He's smart. So, I think, Keith Adams is a guy that he's not an every down back, but he can have a role. He's tough, he's physical, he's a role guy. He's not going to bring a ton in the passing game. He's not a zero, but he doesn't play. He doesn't have a lot of length in the passing game. He's not a great route runner, but he can do certain things. But he will definitely have a role in this team just from a sheer toughness standpoint and physicality. He's kind of different than the rest of those guys, but so I always kind of keep him in his own category. But man, those other guys, they're all flashing. I mean, I tell you, Jarvis is a guy that, every time he gets an opportunity, he catches your eye. He's just a really confident runner. He's a confident football player. He's got really good vision. He's tough through the hole, and runs behind his pads well. Easy E is catches your eye athletically and speed and physicality. He's just got to be a little more detailed. He's still got some details that you just got to be able to trust him. So he's still a little bit of a work in progress, but super talented. And then, man, Gid is a natural. I mean, you just notice him. I mean, he's a freshman. He's 8 practices in. He's learning a lot. He's got a lot on his plate. But, you see his natural ability. So, I mean, I think we got a good group. Shreko's a guy that walked on in here, and, he doesn't get a lot of opportunity, but he's a tough, hard-nosed kid that when he does get opportunity, he usually takes advantage of it. So, not disappointed with any of those guys. We're just kind of a work in progress, and all of them. They all flash and do some good things, but I think when it's all said and done, it'll be a good group. We'll have several guys ready to play.
Seeing the 3 transfers on the field, what was that like, and how all 3 of those guys performed? Just seeing them in a live game.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I think getting in the Valley for the first time, I'm sure they all enjoyed that. We'll watch the tape, but Tristan had he got a lot of opportunity. Cole was out today. So it was good to see him take advantage of his opportunity. Got some really good work. Made one big play. So, he's a kid that just got to keep stacking days. Just got to keep showing up. And then Jeremiah, he got some good live work. Will, all those guys. I've noticed them all every day. They're all working hard, but I'm sure they had fun getting in the Valley for the first time and just playing some ball.
How have some of the young corners like Fegan, Corey and Gibson kind of progressed?
They all got a way to go. They ain't none of them ready to play. Thank God we don't play right now. They all got ways to go. I'm glad we don't play this spring. They got a long way to go. What's that?
What areas would you like to see them grow in?
Every area. Name one. Name it, that one. They got to grow in every area. That group ain't anywhere near good enough. I hope y'all print that.
You mentioned CV earlier, but did he show you today what you wanted to see with the ones?
Yep. We scripted some time for him to get in there. I didn't think Cade had a good day today. I thought he was very average. I think he checked out. I think he was already going to Cabo or something. I don't think he was ready to go today, and maybe it's because he knew he wasn't going to get a lot of reps, and so I didn't think he had his best day. Not very focused, but I thought, CV did some good stuff. He took his first drive down and scored. Now that was the benefit of a really stupid penalty on one of our DBs. Got a unsportsmanlike. That was a really stupid play, so that gave them a new life, and they went down and scored. So it was good to see CB take advantage of that. But then there was another time in particular he didn't know, it wasn't scripted. He didn't know he was going in, and I really wanted to see how he was going to respond. So I didn't put him in until Cade was ready to take the snap, and then I, blew the whistle and put CV in, and he really responded. In fact, he threw a touchdown pass. So being ready. It's easy to be ready when you know you're going, but in his role, he's got to be ready when he doesn't know he's going. And so I thought he did a nice job in that aspect today.
A little criticism of the Heisman Trophy candidate there by his head coach.
Tell me that's not intentional.
Put a little.
Hey, Cade could have been solid yesterday, but Dabo picked a perfect time to pick on him a little bit, try and light a fire under him a little bit more. Dabo is the master motivator. He never says or does anything without a purpose. that and his comments about the secondary. Got a ways to go. I hope y'all print that.
Yep.
Yeah, he knows these guys are going to hear this stuff.
All right,
he's not stupid.
A couple of quick final recruiting notes just ran across. South Carolina offered defensive tackle Tavian Branch out of Pennsylvania, and Gamecock commit Peyton Dyer, a corner, back on a visit to Georgia today. Better keep an eye on that one.
Boy.
That will do it. Get your NIT T-shirts ready, and we'll see you tomorrow night right here on Sports Talk.